The United States presidential election has long been known to bring a sense of anticipation to our society. With every new presidential-elect, there's the possibility for change, and more specifically change that can be viewed positively or negatively depending on who you ask. But with this particular upcoming election, there seems to be an even greater sense of anticipation as Americans look to elect a president who can mend the serious divisions we are experiencing as a country. In late July of this year, the New York Times posted an article entitled, quote, "Half of voters believe President Trump is racist, poll shows," end quote. The article examined a Quinnipiac University national poll. According to the New York Times article, the poll, quote, found that 51% of voters think Mr. Trump is racist, while 45% do not, end quote. As shown by the poll, a good amount of Americans are not only looking for our next presidential-elect to take a stand on the racism that has been unearthed, but also have a plan for topics that have always been relevant, such as gun control, healthcare, and criminal justice reform. During the last Democratic presidential debate that took place on September 12th on ABC, the candidates were asked questions regarding criminal justice reform by reporter Lindsay Davis. When asked about her criminal justice plan, Senator Kamala Harris said, quote, "My plan is about making sure that in America's criminal justice system, we de-incarcerate women and children, that we end solitary confinement, and that we work on keeping families intact," end quote. When talking about our criminal justice system, Senator Booker said, quote, "Our criminal justice system is so savagely broken. There's no difference in America between blacks, whites, and Latinos for using drugs or dealing drugs. But if you are African American, you are almost 4 times more likely to be arrested and incarcerated, destroying your lives," end quote. And when talking about drug-related criminal charges, Vice President Biden said, quote, "Nobody should be in jail for a drug problem. They should be going directly to rehabilitation. We build more rehabilitation centers, not prisons," end quote. The conversations mentioned above by some of our possible presidential candidates are important ones, but a conversation not being included in the conversation of the judicial system is what family cycles and home environments lead to people going to jail. In this first episode of The Unexamined, I visited the Putnam County Jail to speak with inmates about their experiences.
My name's Megan. I'm from Brazil, Indiana. A lot of people that grew up there stay there. I don't know why, because there's not a lot of job opportunities and there's a lot of drugs out there and a lot of crime. So I went to Northview High School, but I quit at an early age. The last grade I completed was 8th grade. In middle school, it was rough for me. I had started doing drugs then. I started doing meth at the age of 14, possession of a syringe. And the second time was possession of meth. And then after that, I just kind of went with probation violations. I'm here on a probation violation because I failed a drug screen. So, of course, my parents had problems. We were very unstable. We moved a lot of different jobs. Parents were breaking up a lot. My plan is I live here on no probation, which is scary. I've decided that's scary. But my plan, I'm going to the homeless shelter. And I'm going to work the program they have there. And I'm hoping to get a job in a factory and work on getting my GED. That's my plan. I always imagine myself working at like a photography studio, like Portrait Innovations, or like how they used to have them at Walmart. Like just something small. I don't want to be nothing big, so that's what I would probably want to do. I would never change anything that's happened to me, because it does make me who I am, and I've been through a lot of pain, but it's made me who I am, and I hope that maybe someday it can help me impact someone else's life.
My name is Bobby Barger. I'm actually from Fillmore, a small town close by. I was born here in Greencastle. I moved to South Putnam in 6th grade, so it was a smaller school. I think our graduating class was like 93 people. So it was pretty small, our classes. Selection wasn't real great or nothing like that, But it was overall, I guess it was probably average. DUI. I actually had my 4th DUI at this time, so clearly a drinking problem. I've been here for 2 years this time. I lost my grandma right before I'd come in here, which kind of spiraled me, to this right now. And then I just learned my grandpa, he's got cancer now, pancreatic cancer, and he starts radiation next month, so, you know, such is life, I guess. Not the greatest. I come up in kind of a broken home. Parents who both did drugs. Dad ended up winning quite a bit of money in the lottery. Blew through that. Went to prison for 10 years. My mom ran off for 10 years. So I was raised by my grandparents, adopted by them, and it was okay with them. I never really looked at them like parent figures or anything. You know, it was just kind of odd. Childhood problems didn't really affect me until I was in my 20s, as crazy as that sounded. And then when I would drink, I would bring them all out, and you know, it just led to really destruction, honestly. What I was raised up in, you know, going to Indianapolis in bad neighborhoods and stuff with my parents, you know, my kids were never subjected to that, and I definitely wasn't an honor student, even though I probably could have been. I definitely didn't apply myself. So they got a different environment than I had, and I see big differences in them versus me. After 2 years of being here, you know, I got 2 kids, and I miss them so much. Honestly, I want to own a supplement company. As you know, crazy as that sounds, I'm big into nutrition, fitness. I was big in the bodybuilding community when I was outside of here, and that's something I like to follow up on. I enjoy reading, research, studies, stuff like that. So that's something I would really like to do. You see me in here, I'm a different person when I'm sober as when I'm not, and I want to be that sober person, and just continue my recovery. It's been 2 years, and I just want to keep going with it. Because I know it never ends, It's something you battle for a lifetime.
Tammy Jones. 7th grade was the last grade I completed here at the Greencastle Middle School. I didn't want to go to school. I got in trouble for runaway and truancy. That's why I went to girls' school at the age of 14. My sister, she graduated high school. She was nothing like me. She didn't start getting in trouble until here recently, which that was a bad thing too. But yeah, I started getting in trouble. I started smoking cigarettes at 9. Well, my parents were alcoholics, and I was a troubled child, so I grew up in group homes and foster care. I went to girls' school when I was 14. I was just a troubled child. Well, when they were using the alcohol and stuff, they were mainly verbally abusive. They weren't physically abusive, but they were verbally abusive. Well, when I got kicked out of middle school at 7th grade, because that was the last grade I completed. I went to 8th grade, but when I got kicked out for smoking cigarettes in the girls' locker room, they suspended me. I got in trouble, went to girls' school, and then when I got out of girls' school, from then I was in group homes. So when I did get schooling, it was in the group home. See what I'm saying? Yeah. I was at a place called White's Institution, if you've ever heard of that. The judge called and they released me when I was 16. My parents came and picked me up. And then I got in a little bit of other trouble, so they put me in a foster home at 16. And then when I went to the foster home, I was there for a little bit, and then I got kicked out of the foster home because I told my caseworker that the guy was looking in on me while I was taking a bath. And the foster people said I was lying, and they wanted me removed from their home. So I got removed from their home, and I got to go back to my parents' home. I still stayed with my parents. I had my first kid when I was 19. I got in a little bit of trouble, so I went to prison. When I went to prison, I got out. A month later, my dad died of a massive heart attack. I started doing methamphetamines at the age of 19. After I had my first kid. First thing I ever did in my life was to do methamphetamines. I got some plans. I just don't want to say right now what my plans are, because I really don't know, because I don't have a place to go to when I get out here, but I'm hoping to make it the best of it. I don't know, I'm a person that always doubts myself, so I don't know. But yeah, I always wanted to be a doctor and a princess. I would do it totally different. All of it totally different. I've got 7 kids, and I'm not saying I wouldn't have at least 1, but I wouldn't have 7. To be honest with you, 20 years from now, I don't see me being alive. Why? I don't know. I've just had a lot happen to me since,
Although all the inmates had different stories and experiences, the 2 commonalities were drug usage and detrimental home environments. Their stories demonstrate the importance of including the examination of home situations and upbringings in our country's conversation regarding criminal justice reform. Thank you for joining me on episode 1 of The Unexamined.